masabu ya leyelo toma kwensimba. Besiki masabu ya leyelo toma kwensata. Munutina ya tina butina butina mosiko. Kitona ya sala kitona kisala mosiko. Abise kwa maya ya mwana baketu kinanga. Abise kwa maya ya mwana basinu kinanga. Oi yangi ya leye. Amututo demboro londosa. Kuna Zimbabwe, ana kimambote, kuna kingenge, kuna kitute, ukitubadye, ukichelukile, kaya matoku makipase, ukimbaringe, balugide ya matoko malunzwande hanindumbe ya matoko makasande pandaminanga unikule unakumbikirie fike kansade kimbele kevula kikalanga Kimbele kevula kukalanga yeyindinga mazenga ndinga ibalamba ya masi yeyindinga zenga mambo ndinga ibalebula ya munga manuka rushpikete lotegede ujma malungu bana betwe abulunzini nimbundu batadye notitsingigawe abishe kwa mama.
Isaiah 3:18. In that day Jehovah will take off all his ornaments. The ankle rings, the headbands, the half-moon ornaments plus. Take note. The women of Israel also wore headbands and half-moon ornaments. Half-moon ornaments are what we know today as the kippah, Jewish head covers, which we also find among the false Kaiser Jewish mandel, but only among men, not women. And the headbands is something that neither the women nor the men of the Kaiser Jewish people use as custom and tradition. But we can still find among the Bantu's Hebrew peoples as custom and tradition that both women and men use to this day. And if some Bantu tribes no longer practice it is because of the prophetic affliction that would fall upon our people, as we can see in this verse of the prophets Isaiah 3:18. The veil of Mary, Maama, mother of Isaiah. Genesis 24:65. She then asked the servant, "Who is that man who has been walking across the field to meet us?" And the servant answered, "It is my Lord." Then she took her veil to cover herself. Many people say that Virgin Mary's painting is a copy of ancient Egyptian figures. Most of these people forget that the image of the Hebrew Mary is wearing a veil, something Egyptian women did not wear or had not as their traditional custom. But according to the Holy Scriptures, the legacy of the black Hebrew people, Hebrew women wear veils, so were the customs of the women of that region we now know as the Middle East. And looking at the painting and photo of the Hebrew Bantu woman, we realize that the black Bantu woman who speaks a language very similar to ancient Hebrew has the same customs of that region. Conclusion. The image of the Virgin Mary does not originate from the Egyptians, but from the ancient Hebrew people, ancestor of the Bantu. Isaiah 3:18. In that day Jehovah will take off all his ornaments. The ankle rings, the headbands, the half-moon ornaments plus. Take note. The women of Israel also wore headbands and half-moon ornaments. Half-moon ornaments are what we know today as the kippah, Jewish head covers, which we also find among the false Kaiser Jewish mandel, but only among men, not women. And the headbands is something that neither the women nor the men of the Kaiser Jewish people use as custom and tradition. But we can still find among the Bantu's Hebrew peoples as custom and tradition that both women and men use to this day. And if some Bantu tribes no longer practice it is because of the prophetic affliction that would fall upon our people, as we can see in this verse of the prophets Isaiah 3:18. If the Bible is a copy drawn from the Egyptians as some people say, then why the Egyptians didn't predict the ruin and fall of their kingdom? And the taking of mums, lands, and treasures of the pharaohs, and the enslavement of their people by foreign nations? But it is something that the Bible predicts very well, when the Egyptians thought like today's white people, that their kingdom would remain forever. Most of the African slaves brought in Brazil, about 4 million people spoke the Bantu language trunk, as we can see in the map below. Other languages were also spoken in this region, such as Kikongo, Kumbundo and Umbundo. The Bantu language influenced the Portuguese practiced in Brazil, Mulek, Bunda, Quitanda, etc. Those black people descended from people captured in Africa and made slaves in North America, who are now awakening in Hebrew origins, and for that reason say that they are not part of the tribes in Africa that are hard to believe. These people are very wrong. Because as we can trace, the language of captives brought from Africa was the same language spoken by the tribes that are still in Africa to this day. In the Quilombos of Brazil there are still to this day black people descended from captives brought from Africa Bantu who speak Bantu languages, Semites, such as Kimbundu, Kikongo, and Mbundu. As well as on the island of Sao Tome, there are still people who speak Kimbundu and Kikongo, and in the Caribbean on the Dutch ABC Islands, we find the Creole idiom of the name Papiamento, which is a great influence of the Kimbundu language. If these people in America say that their ancestors are not part of the tribes in Africa, then they must explain what language their ancestors spoke when they arrived in America, because the mother tongue indicates the origin of anyone. The holy people Isaiah 45:17 The Bantus but Israel is saved by the Lord with an everlasting salvation, therefore you shall not be ashamed or confounded. Bani Yisrael, children of Israel, in traditional customs. The location of the descendants of Yisrael in Africa, foretold by the prophets. For I am the Lord your God, the Holy One of Israel your Savior, I gave Egypt for your ransom, Ethiopia and Sheba in your place. Isaiah 43:3 Beyond the rivers of Cush, often translated as Ethiopia, my zealous worshippers, who are the daughter of my scattered, will bring me sacrifice. Zephaniah 3:10. Aramaic Bible in plain English for the whole creation hopes for and expects the revelation of the sons of God. For the creation has been subjected to futility, not by its choice, but because of him who subjected it upon hope. For the creation shall also be freed from the bondage of destruction into the liberty of the glory of the sons of God. Romans 8:19-21.